Hi, I'm astrologer and life coach Penny Dix. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to my overview for the astrology or the astrological energies for the month of October 2022. Now, I also do all your individual zodiac signs, and remember when you check those out to check out your rising sign, also known as the ascendant. And they are time stamped in the description box, but they're small little separate videos, so it's easier for you to find on YouTube, and they are under the heading Heads Up for Aries, Taurus or Sagittarius. So that's the method I'm using, like I did in September. I'm also going to be including a tarot card again for each zodiac sign to see how it kind of links in with the energy of the astrology. And I'm also going to add it into the overview, which I will start with now. So, October, restriction versus freedom. The sense with October is that frustrating delays, Mercury's retrograde, ultimately bear fruit. We have to have faith. Faith in the timing. Saturn, my big boy Saturn, squaring Uranus. I'm doing a separate video about that. By the time you watch this, it might already be up on my channel. And I will go into depth into the energies of the Saturn-Uranus square for this first half of October and how it will affect each zodiac sign, what areas of your life will most be affected. But let's look at October. It's actually one of the most important months this year astrologically, because we've got two of the outer planets changing direction. We've got Mercury's retrograde phase ending, and we have this ever-growing famous Saturn square Uranus. So let's just look at what's going on, because Saturn is going to go direct finally in Aquarius, and that's from the 23rd. So towards the end of October. And that's going to help reduce this hard square that it's having to the unpredictable planet Uranus. Pluto, that's in Capricorn, is finally turning direct again. And that will also speed up the energies that's represented by Pluto, which is all about transformation. And Pluto actually goes direct on the 8th of October. And it stays direct for quite a while. And then at the end of March 2023, it will finally dip its toes into the sign of Aquarius. That's going to be a new energy for all of us, and I will do a separate video nearer the time about how that might and could affect us all. So this energy that we have at the moment, the Pluto direct is going to allow the various governments throughout the world to try and find some new methods of governing, to try and clean up the general mess that seems to be prevalent in most countries. Mercury, before I go into that, finally goes direct on the 2nd, and it will be in its shadow until roughly the 12th, 13th, 14th, because on the 11th, Mercury will move swiftly back into the sign of Libra, out of Virgo, where it stations direct. And Virgo, of course, is a sign it rules. And then we are going to notice quite a speeding up of the energies. And you've got to think about all of this because it's all combined with not only Pluto going direct, got Mercury goes direct, Pluto goes direct, and we have the ongoing Saturn-Uranus square, the fourth time these big boys meet in an almost exact square, and they're both retrograde. This is about the possibility of history repeating itself. So we have to be so mindful in general, on the world stage and personally. The other important energy to mention this month is that Mars, our god of action, our planet of war, assertion, energy, of course, is in Gemini, and it's going retrograde on the 30th of October, and that is going to be until the 12th of January. Separate video coming on that energy too. So that Mars going retrograde will be giving us a chance to repair anything that we've rushed at. Communication-wise, Mr. Putin, writing-wise, anything of that thought-wise. Because Mars has been stirring up our thoughts and feelings, and we are seeing injustices around every corner. So you can see there are a lot of powerful changing energies this month. But before we look at how it's going to affect the planet, and more importantly, how it's going to affect you personally, let's look at who Libra is, because we're in Libra season until the 23rd, when the sun will move into the sign of Scorpio. Libra is the sign of the scales, of justice and fairness. It's ruled by Venus. Libra is an air sign and cardinal. Librans, interestingly, for all their fairness, will not be pushed about. Anyone would think they were a fixed sign, but they're not. They're very directional, very assertive in what they want to initiate in their lives, so that they can appear friendly and balanced on the outside, but they will fiercely fight a battle for you, and they will defend you to the hilt. They're good friends to have, Librans. But don't underestimate their niceness. They have their limit. Now, with the beautiful planet of relationship, beauty, harmony, value, money, Venus as their ruler, they do represent relationships in all their forms, and they will value your friendship deeply. But they can be easily hurt, so we do have to be a little careful, and they will ruminate about any injustices or what they might have said that has been misheard or misrepresented. Remember, fairness, balance. So let's look now at how the planet is going to be affected and the significant hotspots we have around the world. Well, there is huge potential for extraordinary transformation. I mean, I think we can already see that international affairs of all descriptions are center stage, and the events could become more extreme. We could see deceptive reporting, very assertive and aggressive talk. We're already seeing that from the Russian leader, who is really doing his best to try and spread fear amongst the rest of the world. So we have to remember we're in the sign of Libra. Keep our feelings and emotions balanced. Remember to respond to what you hear in the news. Try not to react. Try not to get caught in fear, because then the aggressor has won. But we are also going to see, because of all these events, which I really don't need to go into because I'm sure you all watch the news, the world economy is on a bit of a precipice. And that's not helped by this Saturn-Uranus square, although it does promise resolution for those that find courageous ways and innovative ways to face and square up to the problems with the economy that, of course, we know is caused by what's happening between Russia and Ukraine. And I think that once Saturn does go direct on the 23rd, we may see a bit of kind of tweaking of things that have already been set in place. I think a realization that perhaps certain courses of action, Miss Liz Truss, may not be the best solution. I mean, goodness, what's happening in the UK? What can I say? It's the Saturn-Uranus square. And we will get through this, but it's very challenging for everybody watching what appears to be a kind of political implosion. And if in the UK they manage to survive the extraordinary lengths to which they're going to, in their terms, rescue the economy, then amazing. But with Mars about to go retrograde and squaring Mercury as we start the month, there is still likely to be general confusion. And that's certainly going to be key between what's happening and what's unfolding and what's been unfolding between Russia and Ukraine. And it seems as we start off the month, it's still hard for either side to find suitable neutral ground to kind of mutually communicate about and find compromise. And we have to watch out. I'm recording this actually on the 24th of September, a little late for me this month because I've had a lot going on. And I don't know by the time October comes whether the Uranus-Saturn square may well have triggered unpredictable acts. And we've certainly seen that in the rhetoric coming out of Russia. So we've also got to be mindful of the continuing square between Eris, which can bring street rioting, squaring Pluto, especially when Pluto goes direct on the 8th. Now, it's interesting that the few days leading up to when I'm doing this recording, Russia has had an extraordinary reaction to the rhetoric of their leader. And we have seen, not rioting per se, well, not that we're told about, but certainly mass protests and a mass exodus of young men of conscription age as they try to leave the mother country to avoid dying in a useless and senseless conflict. And I think we're going to see this certainly in the UK. I think we're going to see strikes, protests. I think that there's going to be a lot of dis-ease and dissatisfaction with the general way things are going. I think we could see this in other European countries, Italy, France, Germany. And we have to be mindful and keep our eye on what happens in the United States, because they too are struggling with internal issues which have opportunities to find resolution through the energy of October, but will they? But let's look at how you'll be affected personally. We are going to notice this change of energies. And the Saturn-Uranus square does give us an opportunity to perhaps find a way to break through in particular situations and even find resolutions, even if they are a form of compromise. Our one-to-one relationships are going to be highlighted this month. And there is the potential to transform relationship situations with careful discussion. Because you know what we do, we often listen to answer. We don't actually hear. We don't actively listen to what's being said to us. We're already formulating our answer or our question. And it's such a good practice to sit back and think, right, I'm really going to listen to what you're saying to me. Because, you know, it's when we listen, so we actually hear what's being said. And that could be a practice that perhaps a lot of world leaders could start practicing. Then we can sort of formulate sensitive replies. We might find, because Jupiter is still in Aries, and Jupiter is opposing, and in fact, I just want to double check, but I think, no, Jupiter, yeah, that's right. Jupiter is going to move retrograde back into Pisces later on. And then we'll go direct in Pisces in December to re-enter Aries. But I'll come to that in another video. I just wanted to see what Jupiter was up to, because Jupiter's in Aries, it's retrograde. It's, as the month opens, it's opposite the Sun, conjunct Venus in Libra. And I think we might find that the pressures of work, the pressures that we've had through September of kind of the going back to school kind of energy, are disrupting and pulling us away from the tranquility of our private space. And it can be a month when many people find themselves on the front lines with these potential lightning strikes that we might see in various parts of the world. Look at what's happening in Iran. And, you know, extraordinary unfoldment of events there. It's quite likely that many of us will be very much wishing we're somewhere else other than where we are. And there might be a late rush, if the flights aren't too expensive, for an autumn break. The full moon this month is on October the 9th in Aries. And as you know, I do separate videos about the full moon and the new moon. And this is very much a moon about having faith and letting go. And the new moon is a partial solar eclipse in Scorpio on October the 25th. So we are back into this eclipse season of the year between that axis of Taurus and Scorpio. This new moon solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse, is to a certain extent about rebirthing. And it shows us that the opportunities that we have for change often come at a price. So what are my final thoughts before I close this video and allow you to find your individual zodiac signs and rising signs? Well, there's nothing restful about this month's energy. I really think it's important we take good care of ourselves personally. Get the rest when we can, because I think this is going to be an extraordinary month. And I think it's I've said this before, it's about holding a steady course through turbulent waters, through rough seas, and trying our best to respond to what we hear going on in the world and also in our personal lives, and not react. So, well, let's see how it does unfold. Thank you so much for joining me for the October overview. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I would love it if you could subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Thank you very much. And please check out the videos on my YouTube channel, the other videos. And don't forget to check out the weekly episodes of Whiskey and Bagels that I do with Conscious Medium Brandon Russ. They really are very popular and getting a lot of good reactions to them. So check them out. So in the meantime, thank you so much for joining me here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.